Hey everyone, this is going to be our review for our quiz over factoring. Please stop the video if you need to a second or to write everything down, or if you need to go back. So let's go ahead and get started. Um, in this first section, by the way, this is set up exactly like your quiz, so expect problems exactly like this. So your first set of problems here, you would are you doing here is matching what type of factoring you're doing. So you don't even have to factor these. So let's take a look. This first one is three terms. So you have a trinomial. And if you look, A right here is 1. There's nothing there, so it's an understood 1. So this is just trinomial factoring. The second one, you can see a difference. This is a x squared, a square. 49 is 7 squared. So this is just a difference of two squares. There's two terms here. Definitely start looking to see if it's going to be difference of two squares. Your final answer here, just to remind you, would be x minus 7, x plus 7. Number 3, okay, this, you might think, oh, two terms, it must be a difference of two squares, but this is addition right here. So the only thing you can take out here, the only thing in common is this 4 from both the 4 and 16, so you could take a 4 out. And then you'd have this guy, and that's just great. That's GCF. It just has a GCF. This last one, you might think, oh, there's 4 terms, so I can group it. Well, if you ended up going through it and grouping it, and then you tried factoring it, this right here, what you're going to get from that is not going to match up here. And then there's no common term between 14, 20, 21, and 87. So this is actually prime. You cannot factor that one. Simply because you can't get a matching binomial. The one here would be different than this one. So keep an eye out for those. Just make sure you know which one's which, and we'll go from there. Let's look at the next section. Your next section will tell you what type of factoring method to do. So if it use the greatest common factor, well, that's easy. We just take out the common terms. So for instance, in this one, 8, 14, and 3, there is no common term between 8, 14, and 3 other than 1. So we can't take anything out there. X cubed, x squared, and x, each one has at least one x, so we can take out at least 1. So our final answer here would be 8. All right, we took 1 from 3. X squared plus 14. X from x squared, x minus 3. Okay. From there, we could look at difference of two squares. With the difference of two squares, you are just looking at, the first, what's the square root of the first one, what's the square root of the last term, and then you can just write it like this, x plus 1, x minus 1. I'll set up another problem here so this one's not as bad. I mean, even if it was like this, you got to do a difference, not a plus. Even if it was like this, you'd have x plus 2, minus 2. Because, square root of 4 is 2, and ultimately at the end, 2 times negative 2 would give you negative 4. So let's maybe one like this, you could have maybe 36 x squared minus 25. So just take the square roots of each one. So this is 36, so we'd have 6x minus 5 and 6x plus 5. So over here, just look at your square roots of each term. You'll have plus or minus, the middle terms have to cancel, but then that last term has to multiply to give you this guy. All right, factoring the trinomials, these are easy trinomials, so these are just factors of c that add to b. This is our c term, this is our b term, so we say what times what gives us negative 10, what plus what gives us negative 3, and you can probably see it already, 5 and 2, 5 and 2. One of them needs to be negative, because 5 plus 2 is 7, not negative 3, but if we made 5 negative, then negative 5 times 2 gives us negative 10, negative 5 plus 2 gives us negative 3, so your solution is p minus 5 and p plus 2. Okay, that's it. There's C, there's B, factors of C that add to B. You may want to write that phrase down so you won't forget it. Moving on, it's good to know, when we do our hard trinomials, that something like this, just a basic grouping problem, that you're able to do this. So when it says by grouping, just like in your trinomial problems, group your pieces. You have to just take the greatest common factor out of each binomial. 5 and 10, we can take a 5 out. R cubed and R squared, we can take an R squared out since that's right there. We can take 2 of them out right there. 5's gone, we took 2 out of the 3, so we're just left with R. You can divide 5R squared so you can see it. Divide 5R squared. 10 divided by 5 would be 2. We took the R squared out, so it's gone. And then over here, we can take out, oh, I'm sorry, that should be negative. Let me fix that. Okay. All right, so here we can take out a 9, since 9 is common in 9 and 18. Plus 9, we'd have R minus 2. They're matching, and then use those two front terms to write your new binomial. And R minus 2. Okay, that's that. That's grouping. Now we just combine the two for the last type of trinomial. So for instance, trinomial with leading coefficient not equal to 1, then everything changes. We have step 1. A times C. Here's our A term. Here's our C term. We cannot take 2 out of 3. There's no GCF, so we have to do A times C. Well, A times C. All right, 2 times negative 9. We get negative 18. Step 2. Set up the factors. All right, what times what equals negative 18? What plus what equals negative 3, just like before. Just like before. Instead of it being the factors of just C, it's the factors of A times C. Well, 6 times 3, we can get 18 and 3 out of that, but one of these needs to be negative. Since this is a negative number here, the bigger number needs to be negative. Negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. Negative 6 plus 3 is negative 3. So, we go on to step 3. Break up the B term. Okay. The only way we're going to get good at this is if you go through and practice these. Go back through your notes. Practice the ones I gave you. Break up the B term. And what you'll see is you're going to change this minus 3x to minus 6x. You're using this term and this term. And just bring down your minus 9. And then we're going to turn this into a grouping problem. Step 4, group. All right, so what can we take out here? 2, and they both have an x. All right, 2's gone. Take an x away. X is there. 2 out of 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and we took the x out. So then over here, they both have positive 3. So we can have x minus 9. 3 out of 9 would be x minus 3 also. Your final answer, use these two pieces here, 2x plus 3 and x minus 3. That is the hardest problem on the paper. Make sure you know how to do those, okay? 4 steps. AC, set of factors, break up the B, and group. If you can remember to do this and this, then I think you can figure out the rest. All right. This question here, what it's asking you is, are you doing this problem? Is this person doing this problem correctly? Jesse was instructed the fact of the following trinomial 2x squared minus 9x plus 10. Okay, if I gave you that, you would look at that and say, okay, minus 9x plus 10. All right, that's not an easy trinomial, so I'm going to do A times C. A times C, what's that going to get? 2 times 10, 20. What times what gives me 20? What plus what equals -9? You would say -4, -5, -4, -5. Okay, and so on and so forth. Now what it's asking is, in her first step, she created a 4-term polynomial, this, by thinking that the product of, and this should say -4 and -5, equal 20, and the sum -4 plus -5 equals -9. And it's just asking, is that correct? Well, those were the factors we found. They broke the b up into -4 and -5. Yeah. So then what's the next step after that? Well, let's answer this question. Is Jessie on the right track to factoring this? Yes. And you could say the correct factors were found. Right? Okay, if yes, complete Jessie's factoring to arrive at a final answer. So you would just take this guy, 2x squared minus 4x minus 5x plus 20, and do your grouping. Group it. We can take 2x out. 2's gone and x is gone. 2 out of 4 will just be 2 and that x is gone. We have a -5, so we can take out -5, but if you take out a negative, it changes that sign, so be careful. X minus, let's see what happened here. Oh, sorry, that should be a 10. 10. That's a 10. That's what happened. So we take out 5, that's 2. There we go. And look there, you got matching 2x minus 5, x minus 2. That's all you got to do. It's just asking, hey, is this correct? And then you say yes, because the right factors were found, and then you just complete it. If it wasn't, then you have to find the correct factors and just do a basic, hard trinomial problem. Okay? So know what you have to find. Be familiar with those steps 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I think you'll be fine there. Okay? Partial credit here. Okay? If you can't answer all of it, answer some of it. Continuing on, okay, into our last section. Now in this section, you will have to identify these on your own, but look how easy this is. You can write these out. 3 terms, no a term, a's 1, easy trinomial. Factors of c that add to b. This is not a square, so this is just GCF. You might think, oh, it's difference of 2 squares. Well, x isn't a square, so it's just GCF. This is a difference of 2 squares. This is a dot. Square root of 225 is 15. So n plus 15 and minus 15. This r squared, there's no a here, so guess what this is? This is a trinomial. This is an easy one. Factors of c that add to b. And this one would be a trinomial. You cannot take out 5 out of any of these. So this is a trinomial. This is a long one. Right, so go through your 4 steps. A times c, then find your factors, break b up, and then group it. And then this one is just a grouping problem. So you can just group these together like that. And go through, take out x squared, you'd have x plus 3. Take out -5, you'd have x plus 3 again. And you have your answer, x squared minus 5, x plus 3. If you need to go back through that, just pause it, rewind it, or ask your neighbor how to do that, and you're good. The last question, the area of a soon-to-be renovated rectangular room is represented by the polynomial expression, this. Okay. So, what does it tell you to do in the next part? You may not even know what that means. What does it say? Factor. Factor the expression. Guys, this is an easy trinomial. The factors of c that add to b. Factors of 27 that add up to 12. Okay? 9 and 3. So you get x plus 9, or x plus 3, and x plus 9 as your length and width. Okay? But that's it. Study hard. You should be good to go.